George, I like to say that the Pat Mayo experience is very much for some people, but most definitely not for everyone.
It's for a lot of people, though.
No, I love it. That's how when I'm like groggy in the morning and I've got to work through some data, Pat Mayo show.
You want people yelling?
I do. It wakes me up, just the calm talking and then an outburst from Cam. That's the recipe.
Like, birds are great. All they do is like they barely shit. All I do is give them like feed and like a little. I even give him spring water. He deserves it. Like, these birds are like very easy to maintain. And the best is, I got the gourmet feed. It's $13.99. You buy the shit stuff at the store, it's $4.99. Birds are so economical. And when you put the sheet on him, he goes to bed at night. He chirps a little bit, like me. Like we have conversations back and forth. Your picks suck. No, you suck, Stu. You suck, Big Stu. You suck, Little Stu. His name is Little Stu.
Pat Mayo Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog. We're continuing the division best bets for the NFL. We got 3 to go today. The NFC North, a very fun division. If you want to check out any of the other previews, hit the description. They are all down there. Highly recommend let's bring them in right now. Cam Stewart's on the line. George Tsilfidis is on with us as well. Filling in for Rob Pizzola, who had too much fun, and now he's sick. Does he do this at the Hammer offices, George?
Yeah, I've been taking all his meetings this week. Though, Pat, it's nice that, if Brock Purdy goes down, Mac Jones, not as good as Brock Purdy, but very capable backup to step in.
I tend to disagree there, George. I think you're more durable. Pizzola, like, you can't even take this guy anywhere. A couple days in Halifax. Ooh, tired. Oh, I'm home. I got to go home to my family. He's drinking. Pat, come on. What's going on here? I know I'm the oldest out of you guys, and I still keep my motor running. I'm a diesel engine. Who are you guys? Like, the guy's a couple days in Halifax and he goes to Vegas and he gets the sniffles? Well, come on, Rob, figure it out.
You forgot about his cottage country experience in between coming here with me, cottage country, then Vegas, and now he's back. So, I don't know, he picked up some sort of generic nerd disease in Vegas at Bet Bash.
Nerds! I'll tell you something about Pizzola, though. Who am I to mock? I'm a guy who's selling my home because I'm broke, and Rob seems to be having pretty flush at Betstamp and the rest of these companies. He's going to Vegas. He's going to Halifax. He's cottaging with the rich hockey players. So yeah, Rob seems to be doing well with his pocketbook. So I got to give him credit there. He can't party, but he's very well off.
Georgie, is he cutting you off a piece or what?
Yeah, seriously. Where's the pie?
No. In fact, he's having all this fun and he's telling me, George, it's June. We need some offensive line tier rankings. Go make some content, while Pizzola's ripping it up.
If you missed the AFC North show, we recorded that with Rob in studio and Cam on the line. It's one of the best shows that we've done all year. Very, very high reviews for that one, Cam. That was a lot of fun.
Well, a lot of things were going on. I didn't know my buddy was dating a witch. I didn't know things were going to happen. More strangers in my backyard. I told them there's no more parties in the backyard. I'll have a party when we're done. I got. You know what? I'm going to tell you something, Pat, about these Portuguese buddies. These guys are the best. Like Sid Lima came over. The guy brings his dad's machete from the army. He's cutting out like roots the size of George's head there. And I got a big pumpkin too. George just takes a lot on the screen. We're fixing patio stones. We're doing this. We're doing that. I'm telling you, like, landscaping, whatever. I don't want to make a generalized comment, but it comes naturally, Pat. I'm almost at the finish line. Nobody wants to touch the toilets, obviously. I had my toilet broke because I damaged my toilet for a good reason. He hates me, and it's a horrible relationship. I'd hate myself too, the things I do to that guy. But I'll tell you, we're almost there, Pat. I'm going to be end of the month on the market, and once I have some money, maybe I'll be able to travel like Pizzola.
Yeah, there you go. You and Rob can do a world tour.
I got no problem with that. Problem is, never knock on Rob's door. When his door is closed and Rob has his little, chamomile tea and the robe, George, in Vegas. No. I get it too. I'm actually going to blame myself and Morency because we're idiots and animals, and we just wanted Rob to come out and play. But once it was 4:00 in the morning and Rob shuts the door, once he puts the robe on, he's on his computer. He's doing offensive line tiers. He doesn't want to go gamble and bowl for money. I'll tell you that.
How did the Lions rate out in your offensive line tiers, George? Because they're plus 160 to win this division. You can find all of these odds at CoolBet. If you're in Canada, outside of Ontario, or now Alberta as well, then you can use CoolBet. Get your bonus down in the description. All the futures are up there. 10.5 wins is their total. However, the the latest news with Detroit is that Cade Mays is going to be out 8 to 12 weeks. They lose their starting center. That's never good.
No, and the way it graded the O-line is it's been a bit of a boom or bust. You're banking on three guys, Tate Radledge, Christian Mahogany, and Blake Miller, who have no real experience becoming good because outside of Penei Sewell and Cade Mays, there's not much stability on the O-line. In fact, the two big knocks on Detroit last year was their O-line was banged up and their secondary was banged up. And everyone assumed they made some fixes. And then here we are. It's August, and we have O-line questions again. Terry and Arnold got cut by the Lions. Neither of their safeties are practicing, and they're both likely to miss the start of the season. And he said Detroit's problems from last year are still the same problems this year.
Looking at what they did a year ago, analytically, they rated out fantastically, Cam. Like, they should have been better than what their record was. Now, they're going to end up with a much easier schedule because of it. But at the same time, as George points out, like, a lot of the same problems persist. If Goff is going to be under duress, that's not good for Jared Goff.
Great call, Pat. Goff, he can't move. He's basically a statue out there. You give him time, he'll rip you apart. A lot of dumping off to Gibbs. I see that. They have great offensive weapons. The problem is, to George's point, they're going to have to score a lot of points to win a lot of games. I see Goff, too. A lot of teams are going to bring exotic blitz packages, try to take these guys down, and that's the problem. Without a good offensive line, Detroit was great when they had a great offensive line. And look at the division, too. They have killers. Like, the bottom line is Minnesota's 8.5 win team projected by Vegas, not like other divisions. You got Minnesota, you got Chicago, you got Green Bay. Like, all of these teams are very similar. It's a dogfight. So, you know, when you're losing offensive line parts, that's bad news for the Lions. And people just assume, Pat, they're going to get there. The problem is, how many points are you going to have to score to win these games? I think Minnesota's going to be better. Chicago's much improved under Caleb Williams. They got weapons, right? And Green Bay, I think Golden's going to be better in his second year. They have a lot of weapons. This is the problem with the Detroit Lions. People just assume with this schedule, and now this injury is big. That's the whole thing. Like, don't worry about their offense. You got to worry about their offensive line and the defense, right, guys? The secondary, it's a problem, and other teams are going to shred these guys. So they better score 45 points, or they're going to be in a lot of problems in these big games.
Well, they were really interesting with Sans Ben Johnson a year ago, George. They still ended up with a top 10 offense. They had a top 10 defense. Like I mentioned, like, analytically, they should have been much better than they were. They even had a top 10 special teams unit, which is kind of crazy to think about a team that went 9-8. So we've kind of talked about the downside of the Lions. What's the upside of the Lions? If they can get everyone healthy, if they can block Goff, it did feel to me, while they did have offensive explosions at some times, game to game, they felt really out of sync versus the Ben Johnson days. And maybe that's just losing him, trying to adapt year one. You're dealing with offensive line problems. This can all be issues, obviously. Do you think that gets rectified this year, or do you think they'll still seem a bit disjointed offensively?
Well, if you remember, there was a shift when Sam Laporta went down. They just started to dial up a whole bunch of targets for Jahmyr Gibbs. Because, Pat, you're right. They were a top 10 offense. Here's the gap between passing and rushing, though. 7th in dropback EPA, 17th in rushing EPA. And that's with Jahmyr Gibbs as your running back. That was more about the offensive line than about Jahmyr Gibbs. So what I see is they realize rather than run into tough boxes, they might be putting Jahmyr Gibbs in space more. We've already heard comments about how they're going to use him in an insane amount of way. So I believe from that standpoint, the Lions will adjust. Here's where I actually think their biggest leap can be. Last year, they were middling in pressure rate, 14th in pressure rate, and that's with Aiden Hutchinson's coming back from an injury. And then they finally maybe have solved the other edge rusher. They spent a second-round pick on Derek Moore from Michigan. And the hopes is if Aiden Hutchinson is not the only threat to rush the passer, if they become a top 10 unit at that can mitigate some of the problems on the back end for them.
So, Cam, where do you like? Do you like the over 10.5? Do you like the under 10.5? Because you could sell me all the way up to 12, 13 wins for the Lions, but a few more key injuries, and they're like an 8-win team.
I agree with you. I think this team can win 12, or I think they can win 8. I think that's perfect, Pat. They're kind of one of those teams, boom or bust. The problem is their division. I think Minnesota is going to be a hell of a lot better. I don't know what Chicago is going to do. Is Caleb Williams going to get better, or is he going to regress? Green Bay has so many weapons on their team. That's the problem. The division is razor thin between win totals anyway. Vegas does, these guys, when they make win totals, they don't give away money. I think 10.5, George, I don't know if you agree. I think it's a very fair number. Asking a team, even with an easier schedule, to win 11 games, I think the Lions are probably a 10-11 win team. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, this is a team that I don't go to the window and go, I feel very confident. There is one team in this division that I bet the over on, and we'll get to them. But I'll tell you right now, I just think, Pat, it's a very, very good number because there's too many problems. Say somebody else on the offensive line gets hurt. Another key player on defense gets hurt. That's the problem. And you talked about it. Goff is not one of those quarterbacks that could run for first downs. He's got to do a lot of other things. And if anything happens to Gibbs, they're toast.
They have 6 pretty, I don't want to say for sure wins, George, but they did draw. Like, they should at minimum, if they're not 4-1 going into their week 6 bye, it's going to be a real problem for the Lions because they go New Orleans, Buffalo. Let's go 1-1 there. Then they go Jets, Panthers, and Cardinals. Like, if they come out of that like 3-2, it's going to be tough to win this division.
Yeah, it really does hinge on that early fight. They need to come out 4-1. Maybe even 5-0. You know, when I think holistically of the North, here's what I think. For my projected wins from the first place team to fourth place team is the smallest spread in the NFL. So it's the most competitive division. I just think that there isn't a great team in this division. I just think there's potentially very good. I think the Lions are very fortunate in their schedule. So they draw this like dreamboat fourth place schedule where they get to play Arizona, and the rest of the division has to play the gauntlet that is the Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers. They get to play the Giants, while the rest of the division plays, Philly and Dallas, and, Washington's not that great. They get to play the Titans, and the rest of the division has to play the Colts, Texans, and Jaguars. Never has a fourth place schedule been this valuable. The largest discrepancy, so they call them the 3 uncommon games. It's the largest discrepancy in expected win share that we've ever seen in the uncommon games. So they drew a dreamboat schedule. Without it, I'm not very high on the Lions.
So would you bet George at 10.5, or you run into the window? Like,
no.
You like the over or no?
No, because with all things, Cam, the market has been talking about this schedule for a few months, and I actually think it may have gone too far. Right now, it's like 10.5, and you're juiced to the over. I have them at 9.89 wins. I have them as like my 13th power rated team. But I agree with you. I actually think there's a lot more boom bust to the Lions than usual this year because of that O-line, because of that secondary. There's a larger skew of their range of outcomes this year.
They also found ways to lose, Pat. Like, when you watch the Lions play, and this is really important. I really like Dan Campbell and his staff, but I know Rob and I fight about this stuff with analytics, and George is really intelligent too. But I'm an old school guy. Sometimes taking points is good. And his aggressive nature against the 49ers cost the Lions a potential Super Bowl spot. And that's the problem with this guy. He's a riverboat gambler, and sometimes his team needs to just put damn points on the board instead of going for it on crazy fourth downs all the time. You're not going to get them all the time. I know a lot of these times numbers say go, but I look at situational things, Pat, like even playing sports. Sometimes getting a lead, just put 3 on the board. It's fine. We'll deal with it. And how many points has this team given away, guys, due to bad coaching, being ultra aggressive when they just be there, be happy, take points, but no. And then you give another team the ability to come back. They had the 49ers by the balls. They had them pinned, and they gave them life by making stupid decisions. All you have to do is keep on pummeling them. That's the problem with Campbell and these guys. I think they panic. How many games did they lose to Brosmer? Remember, Pat, the guy went to the University of Minnesota. The guy's a 3rd, 4th string quarterback. He's horrible. The Lions had so many chances to win these games, and they pissed them away due to bad decision, bad play calling. And sometimes I think they're too aggressive.
Well, they also got worse on fourth downs a year ago. Now, George, that could just be simply due to sometimes you don't get them. Or is that because they didn't have what many consider to be a top 5 play caller leaving the team, and they don't have quite as much creativity on fourth down?
Yeah, it's all parts creativity. The interior of the O-line was the worst version of the Lions O-line we've seen in 5 years. So a lot of that short yardage stuff becomes a lot more difficult, which is kind of why I think they're going to try to circumvent and start using Jahmyr Gibbs a lot more in the pass game. If you look at from the Sam Laporta injury, and I know obviously that's opportunity, but they made a clear indication that the target share for Jahmyr Gibbs was going to go up. Rather than wasting his time in the muck that is the O-line, get him in open space. One of the biggest advantages the Lions have that many people don't talk about is Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams are like 2 of the 10 best blocking wide receivers in football.
Good call.
So get him on a screen behind those guys, and there's bigger opportunities. So I actually think Dan Campbell was looking at how the offense performed in that last 6-7 games and saying we need to do a lot more of that.
Sam Laporta, also a very good blocker as well. So if you get him back at full health, it should make it run a little bit easier, especially when you get off tackle or into the flats if you're Jahmyr Gibbs. At 4for4.com right now, we have the projections for season-long fantasy, daily fantasy, and then the giant betting package, which includes Sharp Stack, which I highly recommend that anyone use. I've been using it to clean up on the WNBA over the summer. That's my jam.
Feed the temple.
No softer market than WNBA props right now. And Sharp Stack's like, oh no, that's like a 12% EV even on this like minus 140. Go take that. It's been quite profitable. So if you hit the description, you can get 4for4.com/Mayo 25% off any of the package levels that you want. I highly recommend that everyone go do that. But our projections, George, right now have Gibbs at 68 catches. I could see him going over that.
Yeah, that feels light.
Yeah.
What did Christian McCaffrey do? Like a 100 ball last year because the O-line was no good. Like he was averaging 3.5 yards per carry. The run game wasn't there. They just said, we'll just treat you as a receiver. I could see Jahmyr Gibbs volume a lot higher. I like him a lot more than Bijan in fantasy drafts.
I like the fact you're betting on the WNBA too, Pat. Who cares what league it is? Like I'm betting on standardbred racing. When you see an angle, like just do it. Who cares? That's why I love people. Oh, I don't know about this sport. No, what you do, Pat, you throw in the numbers, you talk to people who know the league, and you make money. That's the thing. There's so many beautiful things out there. If you want to go play craps at the casino, you don't know, just join the party, have fun, right? Like that's the whole thing. It doesn't matter what sport you play. Like I don't know what you guys are doing, like props versus games. Like how much more, Pat and George, are you guys playing props in comparison to like, I dick around with first touchdowns, anytime touchdown, stuff like that too. But you know what I mean? I just like the prop numbers are so damn sharp now. Like everybody and their mother, and you guys, George, you and Pat are not, and Pizzola aren't the only people with computer programs to throw these things in and make them work, right? So I find you got to find a good number because they change really quickly. Like it's not like the old days, man. These numbers, like Harvard grads, ding, 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 they're on this stuff really fast.
Well, I just steal Rob's anytime touchdown scores. And then I send them in my friends group chat, and they all think I'm like the greatest touchdown scorer.
We had Barner in the actually, I do it randomly, guys, and like it's been great. Like that's why I know it's the stupidest market, Pat. Like when you talk about like it's so random, but you just for me, I literally like look at tight ends. And I look at tight ends, how many times in the red zone they go to tight ends, and those numbers are usually between like 9 and 16. You know what I mean, Pat?
I find I don't play anytime touchdowns. I play a lot of first touchdowns, which is an even more volatile market and one you really can't predict. You can try to predict it based on what you're talking about. Where are they going to get the ball first? How good are they on first drives? Where do they go in the red zone? That kind of thing. But betting first touchdown, George, is a lot like betting on golf. And it gives me my betting on golf fix during the NFL season. But to answer your question, Cam, I probably go like 85% props, 15% sides and totals.
Interesting.
Like you said that, yes, the prop numbers have gotten sharper, but they are clearly not as sharp as sides and totals.
No, and I don't know if there's an angle to certain guys. Like I know, you take like the third receiver on the team, stuff like that. I always like the backup tight ends at like a 16.5 yards receiving overs. No, it's just fantastic because Pat, I'm kind of an old school fossil, as George knows. He interviewed me a long time ago. Like we've been doing this stuff for 35 years and just watching the whole betting landscape change. Like we used to literally just call in bets. There was no, props were for the Super Bowl. That's it. You know what I mean? I was leaving numbers on a recording. Hi, employee 75 here. Washington State Cougars 200. Like, you know what I mean? Like we were literally calling on a message machine, listening to your voice and documenting picks with pen and paper.
Yeah.
Things have come a long way. And I know a lot of really, really smart people who weren't even involved in math, just look at numbers and they gamble because they're smart mathematical people. Like they can figure things out. So it's a real wild world for me. I'm not there yet, Pat. I'm still like kind of half and half, but I'm playing a lot more props now.
The Lions.
I don't miss the days of envelope meeting up.
No, I told Pat this every time, George. I like the personal touch. I like the lasagna. I like to go shopping with my bookie. If he's working at a bakery in Maple, I go in there. I get the fresh. The buns. I get a lasagna. I get some charcuterie. I go home. It's grocery shopping. Either way, win or lose, envelope. Meet your guy. How you doing? I don't get the personal touch with the robots. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, you have a bet bonus. I don't really care. I want to meet Rocco. And I want to party. Like it's pretty simple.
You want to know how Rocco's doing?
Yeah. I want to say Rocco, does your mama have any more sauce in the garage? Is there any more homemade wine that I'll do? Hey, if you're trying beer, I'm your guy. I'm your guinea pig. Like, Pat, I miss the days. It's like we talk about social media. Bullshit. Ain't it social media? It's a bunch of fucking idiots, trolls just knocking people's picks and calling people assholes. Social media is actually going to a bar and meeting people and talking to them, human to human.
Plus 160, the Lions are favored to win this division. I think that's too steep versus some of the other teams. Now, I get why that they're the favorite with a pretty considerable gap, because when you look down the rest of the board, the Packers are 2-1. The Bears are 3.5-1. The Vikings are 5.5-1. So there's not that, as George kind of pointed out, there's no Dolphins in this division where it's like, hey, it's 100-1 to win the division. It's very competitive. I just wouldn't want to lay the plus 160. You have to wait the entire year in the most competitive division.
Yeah, I echo all that. The only advantage is that early schedule, whereas like Green Bay's not going to have Micah Parsons at the beginning. Minnesota might be iffy without Kyler Murray, trying to figure out how Kyler Murray fits with the offense. But that being said, what an awful sweat for an entire year where you're actually sweating a 4-team race.
One last Lions thought here. Is Dan Campbell Nick Sirianni with better press? Or is Nick Sirianni Dan Campbell with worse press?
Well, Sirianni's all kinds of unlikable. I like Dan Campbell.
George is an Italian. Does Sirianni like offend you wearing like is he giving Italians a bad name? Because if I was Italian, I wouldn't want to see that flag on his hat.
Once again, to go over this, George, not Italian.
Oh, he's not. Oh my God! Are you Portuguese, George?
Greek. I'm the better version of the Trinity.
Yeah, when you start seeing,
no, honestly, Pat, like what an idiot. Like I'm so sorry. George.
When you have the silent consonants at the beginning of the names, it's either Greek or Russian, and I think I'm going to go.
Yeah, like I should know George is Greek. Like I got a friend George, he's Greek. Like I just assume because you work for Pizzola, he's Italian. But like,
I'd only get
that's so stupid. I'm getting dumber by the day. Like
I'd only get offended if you called me Turkish. That's it. Italian's okay.
You can call me anything, Pat. I don't give a shit what you call me. Stooge, apparently. Holy jeez, man. I gotta wake up. Sorry, George. I'm such an idiot. Like I met you a couple times too. I got to be better at this. Like I'm just brain dead. Rude. Sorry, Pat.
Have you ever tried to figure out which supplements you should actually be taking? It's chaos. Everyone's got a different answer. Everyone sounds completely confident. And somehow, the more you research, the more confusing it gets. That's what I like about the approach behind Blueprint's longevity mix. Instead of starting at a cabinet full of different supplements and trying to figure out what goes with what, just one scoop of water, mix it up, and you're done. Easy stuff. Blueprint is built around scientific evidence with study-level dosages and ingredients like magnesium, taurine, and creatine. Longevity Mix is designed to support energy, cognitive performance, mood, focus, sleep, cellular resilience, and healthy aging. Something which I need, by the way. Getting old over here. And you probably know Blueprint founder Brian Johnson, the guy on the internet basically trying to live forever. He's running one of the most measured longevity experiments out there, tracking biomarkers and publishing the data. That experiment-first philosophy is what led to Blueprint. They also third-party test for purity and toxins like heavy metals and publish the results so you can see exactly what is in their supplements. Science-backed, precision-dosed, no BS. For a limited time only, new customers get 20% off plus free shipping at blueprint.brianjohnson.com by using code MAYO at checkout. That's code MAYO at blueprint.brianjohnson.com for 20% off. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support the Pat Mayo experience and tell them our show sent you, pals. Green Bay Packers are up next. They lost Romeo Doubs. They lost Dontavian Wicks. Micah Parsons, at least week 6 now, it looks like, upon his return. How is this Packers defense, George, going to look without Parsons?
Oh, not very good. I know Jonathan Gannon is a far more capable defensive coordinator than apparently the Dolphins were just so gobsmacked by how good Jeff Hafley was running the Packers defense and said, we got to hire this guy as our head coach. But they were not very good last year, even with Parsons. And when he went out, it was a disaster. I think the drop-off, Pat, was like middle of the road defense, and then they became a bottom 6-7 defense without him. So I'm expecting that large of a drop. They also lost Rashawn Gary. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, where's the pass rush coming from? I don't know how it looks. I know Jonathan Gannon is capable of being creative. He had a really good Eagles defense the one year they went to the Super Bowl. But I don't think Parsons the best defensive player in the NFL, but I think the gap between him and the next best players on his own team, like I think the Rams could sustain a Myles Garrett injury for 6 weeks. The Packers, on the other hand, I badly downgrade them without Parsons, and those first 6 games have become infinitely more difficult because of it. Not that it's a gauntlet of a schedule, because like the Jets, Atlanta, Tampa Bay, there's winnable games there. It's just now they become a lot more 50-50 without Parsons.
So you like this team, though, don't you, Cam?
I actually have. We haven't got to them yet. That's the one team I'm taking is the biggest pooch in the division. But yeah, I do like Green Bay. I think I like the progress of Jordan Love, and I think there's going to be on offense. Let's remember one thing: Tucker Kraft was out for a long time. The guy was an absolute monster when he was in the game. He's huge, right? And Golden, when he was at Notre Dame, he was a great receiver, and we didn't really get to see him. And I think he's going to be a big part of this offense. I think this team's going to grow. I think Green Bay is going to score a lot of points. That's what I do. But to George's point, the defense is going to give up a lot of points, very similar to the Detroit Lions. But yeah, I think Green Bay is going to be probably, in my opinion, yeah, I would take them to win the division or come second.
Well, yeah, they're 2-1 to win the NFC North right now. We've brought this up on a couple shows. I don't know if we've brought it up with you, Cam, and obviously not with you, George, so far. Does Jordan Love get a bad rep because his bad plays are really bad? Like they're noticeably bad. Like when you watch, like, what is he doing? But you just forget all the really great plays that he makes.
Yeah, it's you know what it is, Pat. It's those back, like he's off the back foot and he flicks it and he gets picked. But I will say that didn't happen last year. I actually thought he was quite good, and I've been a Jordan Love defender. Last year, I was the guy at the Hammer who was like the most bullish on the Packers. I like their weapons. I'm actually intrigued by Golden and Jaden Reed not coming off a foot injury this year, and Christian Watson being healthy to start the year. Where it actually differs for me is I don't like their O-line, and that for the first time last year, I actually saw a Green Bay O-line that wasn't quite good. They lost Elkton Jenkins and Rasheed Walker, a starting offensive tackle and a starting center, and they did not replace them with anybody. They just said, we are going to hope our young guys from last year play well. I think 4/5 of the O-line is vulnerable. The only one I actually trust is the right tackle, Zach Tom, and I think he changed his name to Zach Bako Boele, and that's going to be a challenge to get that right.
Why?
I have no idea.
Why you changed Tom to? What's the deal?
Every year,
heritage thing.
Every year, NFL running backs tell us you've been pronouncing our names wrong, and like there's now 3 HNs in the league at running back. That's what causes me pause for Green Bay. I have them as my 17th power rated team, but I think those first 6 weeks, if they can come out of that unscathed and they get Parsons back, then I think they have a shot. But that's the key right there.
I think the key is just keeping these receivers healthy. Like when you have Watson, Kraft, Reed, and we'll see what ends up happening with Matthew Golden, that all 4 of them seem somewhat formidable when you throw them on the field. But very quickly, as we saw last year, and they still had Dobbs and they still had Wicks last year to be throwing in. This year, when Watson has his inevitable 5-week miss because of a hamstring injury, and Jaden Reed gets hit too hard on one of these jet screens that he probably just shouldn't be taking, or jet sweeps they shouldn't be taking, and if Golden can't improve, then you're dealing with like Bo Melton again and Savion Williams. I like Savion Williams. You want a prop, you bet him over 1.5 rushing yards every single game. They will get him involved in the rushing game somehow every single time. It's like the CD Lamb over half a yard rushing. They love just doing a jet sweep with him for no specific reason. I can't ever recall, Cam, a time where there's Savion Williams going down the sidelines. He's broke one off for 40 yards. It's like, he had like 3 yards. This is good.
Yeah, it's fine. That's the whole thing, Pat. You talk about it, and I think these guys at the receiver position, like I think they can absolutely crush it. They have speed. They have guys who can run routes. They have good hands. Golden's a guy that he's got to catch balls, and I'll tell you, the running game's fine in my opinion. George is right. The offensive line might need some work, but I look at their schedule. And I think it's very, very there's a lot of winnable games on their schedule. This division, though, man, it's so damn hard. Like, take a look at all the divisions we have in football. Like, which one has like the the small windows between these teams. Like, would it surprise you? We have worst to first, right? Detroit, they're worse than now they're projected to be first. It's one of those situations where you look at this division, I can make a case for almost every team, and I'm including the Minnesota Vikings. And like, I think they're going to do fine.
The Vikings are really interesting, but we'll get to them in a second. Let's talk about the Bears, because I think the Bears are the most intriguing team in the division, because if you just think about it logically, they're not going to win every single game with 3 seconds left on the clock again this year. But this is kind of very reminiscent to what Washington did a year ago. Washington got banged up. Washington regressed mightily year over year. We'll see how they end up this season. And since we've last talked about the NFC East, they've lost Tunsil. They've signed Stefan Diggs. We thought they'd sign Ayuk. They didn't. They go with Diggs. I don't know what the better trade-off is there for them. It's probably better to keep your best O-lineman, George, rather than get a secondary receiver for your team. Although Diggs is a really solid addition, I'd rather have the high-end O-lineman with Daniels coming back.
Yeah, certainly. I will say this. You know how sometimes you get cast with like a reputation and then people refuse to get off the narrative? I think there's 2 teams that people agree were lucky last year, and I think that's the New England Patriots and the Chicago Bears. But people are like generating their entire handicap for these teams this year based on last year. And I said, I get it. The Bears were 9th in drop back EPA, but 20th in success rate. It was a lot of just like Caleb Williams bailing them out with big plays. And yet I sit there. I don't like their defense. I think the Kobe Bryant injury hurts, but Ben Johnson is quite an elite coach. And if Caleb Williams just gets some of that consistency, there's a world where they're better than they were last year. Even with all the turnover luck, just off of the fact that a quarterback's entering year 3 and Ben Johnson gets a second year with Caleb Williams, I don't think anybody's building in enough of the chance that Chicago takes an improvement, and that kind of balances out a lot of the luck from last year. And I think that's where we can get in trouble with narratives.
Well, we can throw that narrative out because, as you mentioned, they could be better this year but end up with a worse record.
Absolutely. And they could be less lucky this year and still end up being as successful just off of the other players taking a step forward, mainly Caleb Williams, at Luther Burden and Colston Loveland. These guys are presumably going to be better than they were last year. So, and they still had like the 6th best rushing attack last year. And from like week 7 on, it was actually the best rushing attack. I think the Bears are being a little bit disrespected. I have this entire division very tight. So when I see that the Bears are like 3-1 plus to win the division, I get a little bit I get a little bit surprised by that. They're not getting any credit.
Well, I think, Cam, it just hinges on Caleb Williams. If he takes, so the difference between the Patriots going into this year and the Bears going into this year is that Drake May fulfilled that promise of what his talent was going to be. Now we expect him to be at a level. Do we think that he's going to get that much better than he was last year? Chances are that was probably the best year of Drake May's career. If he can just be within 10% of that either way, he's going to be fine going forward. But they were the benefactors, like the Lions are this year, of like the world's easiest schedule. And things got a little bit more difficult. They got a little bit banged up. They didn't look quite as good. Now they're going to have to run a full gauntlet this year. But no one expects them to be bad by any stretch of the imagination. They just probably won't win 14 games. And if they won 11 games, I don't think that anyone would say that they are unsuccessful. Right now, after watching the Bears last year, we saw the upside plays from Caleb Williams. However, can he sustain that, like George pointed out, the entire year? Can he make that leap from year 2 to year 3 and become one of the best 5 quarterbacks in the league? If he can, they're going to be awesome, and they'll probably win the division.
You're right, Pat, but I don't think he will. I think a lot of teams are going to figure him out. A lot of things happen. George, you talk about luck. Yeah, he made some lucky plays. He also made some great plays. That's the thing about, like, when he came out of college at USC, there's a lot of things that I looked at and I didn't like. And I'm going to tell you something. He is getting better, but I see regression. I see teams figuring him out. I see him running too much, getting hit a lot. And I see things happening where he's not going to hit that level. This division is very, very difficult. He's going to get beat up by like Minnesota's defense is fine. You know, it's one of those situations, Pat, where everyone just assumes he's going to get better. And I don't look at it that way. I think he had a magical year last year. Like everything that worked, it worked immaculately. These off the back throw passes, Hail Marys, anything. This team, I know it's a narrative, George, but they were lucky in a lot of games.
Well,
that's the bottom line.
I was going to ask Pat, can I make the Bear case so that either way I get a good clip that I was right on the Bears?
I just want bad clips, George. The dumber I share. You're an idiot.
You know what? Like, they were 27th in defensive pressure rate. They didn't generate a pass rush. They didn't add anybody on the D line, despite the fact that they led the league in like turnover luck, where they had the highest net turnovers. They recovered like the most fumbles. They were still like bottom 12 and most defensive metrics. So heavily reliant on turnovers. And then the one big piece that they added was Kobe Bryant. And he's out now 4 to 6 months. Now, that being said, last year they dealt with a lot of injuries. For most of the year, Kyler Gordon and Jalen Johnson were not available. They're going to, if they get better corner play, that might help the rest of the defense. But I just look at this team and I say, how are they going to generate a pass rush? How are they going to put pressure on the teams that they are chasing in this conference? And I think that becomes the problem for them.
And their secondary, Pat, like, they have a lot of holes there. Look at the weapons that are in this division. Look at Detroit's weapons. Minnesota's got wicked receivers, man. And Green Bay has a lot. You know, Golden could be absolutely fantastic.
Why do you love Matthew Golden so much?
I don't know. I just liked him in college. He won me money in
like if we're being objective and looking at maybe Christian Watson's an elite receiver, but I take a look at this receiver.
I think Golden's going to have a huge year. That's just
that's great and everything. I know Luther Burden's dealing with this groin injury. He should be able to be playing week 1, but between Loveland, Burden, and Roma Dunze, I would give the Bears receiving core and tight end package higher grades than I would of the Packers. Not by a ton, but I think that they have 3 legitimate options here versus like 1.5. Kraft is a yes. The other guys with their injury history all have to be like a half. And Golden's done nothing. Like Golden wasn't hurt last year, and he was on this team, and they had a bunch of injuries. He did fuck all.
He's gonna do the opposite of fuck all this year. Trust me. You can put that in the fucking tape. He's gonna be fine. And I'll tell you another thing. Loveland, that's the thing about the Bears. I don't know, like, what a great draft pick. Loveland, these Michigan guys, and obviously, you know what I mean? Great tight end class, but this guy is a machine. And that's the one thing that Caleb Williams, he's a great safety valve. But I'm telling you, George, I'm telling you, Pat, this secondary is going to have a lot of problems. Teams are going to be able to march the balls on the Bears, so they better be ready to score a lot of points. That's the thing about this division.
Yes.
This is the over division, in my opinion.
There we go.
George, I know. Sometimes I sleep. So I don't know. You're Italian. You're Greek. I'm an idiot. No. Every fucking game in this division, like, I see like a 42-38 type of, like look at the defenses, look at the offenses in this division. It's going to be shootout central. It's going to be nuts. Hey, Pat, that's why it's like this division. Is it the best division in football? Yes. I guess from a parity standpoint, it has to be. When your fucking last place team is getting 8.5 wins as their win total, that's pretty damn good. So we're going to see these guys beat the shit out of each other. High scoring, exciting games. NFC North.
I disagree.
Get your popcorn ready.
I disagree. This is the most competitive division amongst itself. The NFC South is the most competitive division because they have 4 teams that might be 6-11.
That are shit. Like, what's the top win total? Like, what, you got to win 8 games to make the fucking playoffs? What a joke.
So
anyway,
looking back and just referencing DVOA from last year, I mean, you can use whatever defensive team metrics that you want. Green Bay was 19th on defense. The Bears were 25th on defense. Detroit had a top 10 defense at number 9. And then we get to the Minnesota Vikings, who had the 3rd rated defense last year. They benched J.J. McCarthy. Kyler Murray is now their starting quarterback. If their offense can come along, I don't see why you wouldn't bet them 5.5 to 1 to win this division.
I agree. I think it's the best bet on the board. I actually have between Minnesota, Chicago, and Green Bay. They're all within like 0.3 wins of each other. So Minnesota at their price is the best. I will say one thing. We talked about narratives and how sometimes we just make an assumption. And it's like, okay, let's lock that in. I don't even have to think twice about that. We have seen how good the Vikings defense is because Brian Flores dials up an insane amount of pressure. They are first in pressure rate. They blitz more than anyone else in the league. I will say there is a talent gap this year. They don't have a for sure pass rusher that you can bank on. They lost Jonathan Grenard. They traded him. They lost 2 defensive tackles in Hargrave and Allen. They tried to chase that in the draft, spending a 1st and 3rd round pick on a defensive tackle. But the assumption that Minnesota is going to be a top 5 defense again, this is probably the worst talent he's ever had. And there's only so much like gimmicky stuff you can do to make up for it. So I don't want to make that assumption. I think there is a world where they're the 12th best defense this year. And
But
that changes the narrative a bit.
It does, but if they can be significantly better offensively, you get KOC to dial up with Kyler Murray. He can start hitting Justin Jefferson, get him going again. Addison, he likes to drive 300 miles per hour on the road. Think about how fast he's going to be on the field with someone running around back there. That their offense, I don't think it's going to be back to the Darnold level of 2 years ago. But if you can get 80% of that, that's much better than they had last year. That there could be some balance. And even with Brian Flores, weirdly in my mind, Cam, is a better defensive coordinator with, listen, if you have better players, obviously your defense is going to be better. But if you had to have a subpar talent level, the gimmicky defensive coordinator in my mind is always better for players like that. You're going to get burned. And we saw their defense get burned last year. Sometimes those blitz schemes don't work out because someone just beats you deep every single time during a game. And it happened to them where they just give up these huge chunk plays throughout the course of the year. But if you're going in improved offensively and still being able to patch together pressure, even with lesser talent, I think it's a good spot for them to be. I don't think that they're going to win the division. If you asked me to pick, I'd pick Detroit. That's who I would pick. But if we're talking odds and bets, like George, I have all of these 4 teams rated so closely that if you're going to give me 5.5 to 1 on something that I think probably has a 20% chance of happening, I'm getting a little bit of value there.
Couldn't agree more. And I think, they are going to make some defensive mistakes, but they're also going to score a lot of points. I love this team at 8.5. I've already bet it. It's one of my favorites. You know what I mean? I think they can win the division. I'll take them over 8.5 wins, and I'll take a flyer on over 5 to 1 to win the division. I think the Minnesota Vikings are going to be a hell of a lot better than people think they are this year. I think they're going to do some serious damage, and I think that number's nuts because exactly what you guys said. The difference between Detroit and them is razor thin, in my opinion. It's not worth 2 games. It's not worth 2 wins. They're going to win 9 games. This team is going over their wins total. Big time.
The pushback I think, George, everyone's going to have is Kyler Murray actually any good?
Yeah, and I guess my counter is they had a winning record with Carson Wentz, Brosmer, and JJ McCarthy, and they won 6 out of 10 starts from JJ McCarthy. So they've overcome. I also am a truther of Justin Jefferson. I still think he's the best receiver in football, not Jamar Chase. And I think if their situations were reversed,
what about Matthew Golden?
Listen, I will say this, Pat. We talked about the Lions with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams. We talked about the Bears with Luther Burden and Colston Loveland. And the only guy Cam kept bringing up was Matthew Golden.
I'm an idiot. Yeah, that's right.
No, he might be good, but the way.
But remember, Kyler Murray's playing behind a horrible line in Arizona. Things are going to be different here. Well, and that's the whole thing. Even when he's running around, he was getting killed. Arizona sucked. You want to talk about a bad football team, bad. Other than Trey McBride, I'm even Harrison Jr., he's dropping balls. What's going on here? This is the thing. The Minnesota Vikings are a totally different team. I love the situation for this team.
I think they have the best 3 wide receivers.
Yes.
I think Jawan Jennings as your number 3 is very good.
Very good.
And Jawan Jennings always presents the ability to just rattle the other team because apparently he is the most offside person of all time in the history of football on the field of saying things to people.
I did not know that.
Yeah. He's not very well liked, put it that way.
Well, some of these guys get deep, They start talking about your kids, your family, and shit like that. Your grandmother, that's him. That's a dirtbag move, but it works.
What's the line? What, Cam? How far would you go in trash talk?
I know in trash talk. You know what I did? Nothing. I fucking want to punch your neck. I want to punch you in the throat, and I want to fucking slit your throat. That's what I do when I'm playing hockey and a guy hits me in the nuts and he puts the blade in between my skates so I fall and dragging me around like that. I'm sitting there going, you're an asshole. You know what I mean? I don't chirp talk anybody. It's weird. I talk, but when I played sports, it was just fuck you. Oh. There was no your mother, this and that, and whatever. It's just okay, is this happening right now? Is it on? But then again, George, I've been beat up by guys in the NHL using my face as a punching bag. I've had so many damn concussions. I see stars when I wake up in the morning. But I'll tell you, Pat, I'm horrible at chirp topping. Pizzola would be great at it because he's got that little vibe. Ooh, yeah. He'll come at you with analytics and fucking jokes to just drive you nuts. To absolutely, I'd have smoke coming out my ears. And I know him because that's what he does. He does those little... He's a needler.
Cam, you and I played the complete opposite of the hockey game. I would be Yes, there's no guards in the back of your leg. Just little taps going down, little taps going down, little taps going down.
I hate that shit too.
And
I go nuts.
And then I would get like a two-hander across the head when someone finally got. So my trash talk would end up being scoring on the power play and then just celebrating in front of the penalty box with the guy.
Yeah, that's my problem. I'm easily like rattled like that, but I got better at it. But I hate those guys. Like that's the thing. You want to play a rat?
My favorite guys to play against.
Yeah, me. Guys like me, emotional stooges who just fucking go out there and just want to pummel. But I scored some goals, Pat. Can't skate very fast, but, had a pretty good hockey career. I'm not Al Bundy. Didn't score, 8 goals in one game. I did score 5 in one game. But anyway, but I will say this. That trash talk shit, like some people are just great at it and some people are horrible at it. And that's the whole thing. Like after a while, though, Pat, I think guys in the league go up to Jennings and say, okay, here you're at. Like, it works for a while, but then you got to be smart too, because you don't want to grab his mask, 15-yard stupid shit. Like you'll get over it, but initially you want to like just rip his mask off and like just grab him by the throat and just choke slam him.
Yeah, George, you're right. Phillip Rivers, if Juwan Jennings he's a habitual line stepper. You got Phillip Rivers being like the opposite of that, yet continuing to trash talk at 24/7.
Yeah, the guy goes to church with 9 kids, right? Like it's like he's good at it.
Well, there's no one who's ever went to church, Cam, who's a bad guy.
That's right. I just murdered somebody. Can I go to confessional? I love that. Hey, just forgive me. I'm sorry. I put a knife in this fucking guy's neck. Oh, okay. Everything's cool, pal. You confessed. Excellent.
Jared, you had something?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh yeah. Just on the Bears.
Church bins. Hey, how you doing, hey pal?
Oh, we're all right.
How's your illegal dumping doing at the funeral home?
It's good. When I'm not illegal dumping, sometimes I watch football. So I'm like, just trying to get the takes in. And Jeff was really on me the other day. He's like, Jared, need you on the mic more. So here we go. Caleb Williams, 2 things he was bad at year 1, getting sacked and pre-snap. Clean those up in year 2 very well. And then what's to say that doesn't get better with layups this year? Because that was his thing last year. Couldn't hit the layups. What's to say that doesn't improve in year 2?
Well, I think that goes to him going, like, that's the part going up a level. Because, like, George, we saw where the high-end talent is because he would have to do it in the last 10 seconds of every single game. I think that they created their own luck in a way, forcing themselves into those situations and then having to make gigantic plays in order to get some of these wins. I guess the whole leveling up for Caleb Williams would be that they don't get themselves into those situations. They're just winning games.
And goes back to they win all these games in the last 2 minutes. Like some people say, well, what if they don't win as many games? What if they win them by 10 points instead of, being close in the last 2 minutes?
I will say this, though. Don't you guys think that some of these teams and defensive coordinators are going to have a better book on him? Like the more they see him, like it's one of those situations where he better evolve because a lot of guys in the league, I think he's going to take a lot of hits too, like because he loves to run. After a while, you can get pummeled.
The problem is, Cam, his like sack avoidance is generational. It's actually better than Mahomes's in many ways. When you got the full Caleb experience, I was doing a watch along for the Bears versus the Rams. That the 4th and 15 that he completed to send it to overtime. I'm like, that's the great with Caleb. And then overtime, all you need to do is drive, get in field goal range, and you win. You beat the Rams. And he throws the interception down the field. And I'm like, all right, that's the ugly. So like, if you can just find a little bit more consistency, there is a level that Caleb can get to that we haven't seen yet.
Who is like just pointing out those 2 things? The guy that pops into my mind is Jay Cutler, which is hilarious because they're both Bears quarterbacks. That he's like hyper athletic. Jay Cutler.
Your boy smoking Jay Cutler. Pat, the difference is Jay Cutler sucked.
That is not true. Jay Cutler was pretty good.
Had a couple good years. He made too many mistakes.
How many quarterbacks in the league have a couple good years where they go to the NFC Championship game and their team
Cutler
can't win?
Come on.
Cutler was
good.
Come
on. Come on.
Cutler was consistent.
George, how good was Jay Cutler?
I get to talk now. Cutler was consistently like the 12th best quarterback in the league with flashes of a little bit of upside, but you had to accept the downside that came with some of his moronic decisions. He was like worse Favre.
You always had a thing for Cutler, and you're mocking me with Golden. You got the same.
Yeah, I will take the guy who started in the NFL for like 12 years at quarterback over a guy that couldn't find the field with injured receivers on the Packers last year.
I hope this guy fucking lights it up this year, and I can come back because I'm always the guy. Hey, your backup quarterback suck. But anyway, come on, George. Jay Cutler, what's your take?
Well, like on the spectrum of like quarterbacks that have such volatility. I would say Jordan Love is like Jay Cutler, and I think Caleb is a lot like Favre, because the ceiling of MVP. I think Caleb has an MVP ceiling. I don't think that Love or Cutler ever had that ceiling, but they were both very good.
Love's gonna better than Cutler. Come on now.
Why is Love better than Cutler?
I think he is. I just think he'll be. He just
you also think that Drew Lock is apparently better than Jay Cutler.
I never we were happy when the Drew Lock rookie card went from 3 cents to like a quarter.
Hey, he won a Super Bowl now, so you should be happy.
Yeah, hey, whatever. Yeah, I'm not saying anything. See, when Pizzola's gone, Pat, you're more of the attacking snake. George, even George is coming at me. But anyway, it's fine. It's fine. You've always had a thing for Jay Cutler. I remember your backdrop, Pat, when we worked at Fantasy Sports. It was Jay Cutler smoking a cigarette, and you're always fucking Jay Cutler. Don't tell you've always loved that guy. Always loved that guy.
He was a fun watch.
Love him. He is a fun watch. I'll give him that.
He believed he could throw a ball through a hole that wasn't there. That's my favorite.
Did he date some supermodel too? Who was Jay Cutler?
He was married to Kristen. He was married to Kristen Cavallari. He was on the first season of Very Cavallari with Jay Cutler, just sitting there drinking whiskey and watching his. They have this gigantic property in Tennessee. And he has had these like deer cams all over his property. He would just sit there drinking whiskey, waiting for deer to pop up on these cams. Keith, remember when Keith Bullock used to come into the studio all the time?
Love Keith Bullock, man. No, he's some really cool guys. Gabe, remember Marshall Falk? Gabe even he was like, there were some cool dudes that came into fantasy sports.
So we like Keith Bullock was there like every week. So we started doing shows together. He just had the most Jay Cutler stories of all time. He's just like, yeah, Jay will just close down the bar. He's just down in the basement. And that's just like, that's his vibe. He's like, everyone likes Jay Cutler. He's like outwardly, it seems like no one likes him. He's like, all his teammates love this guy. He was just a good hang.
Jay Cutler did a lot of good things here. I'm just saying he did so many bad things. Maybe you know what the problem with betting is? It skews your memory. I just remember Jay Cutler fucking me hard. Like every time I think of Jameis Winston, I think of that game where they're 8.5-point dogs. They're marching up the field and
in your mind, you think that Jay Cutler and Jameis Winston are the same. They are not. Jay Cutler is way better than Jameis Winston.
Is he?
Yes, he was. Empirically, yes.
I like Jameis Winston.
I love him.
I just wish he would. Hey, remember Jameis Winston led the league in yards, man. The guy just throws so many he marches down the field and then throws a pick six. And what the fuck are you doing? Everything before this was great. Well, how does it have to end like this? Why?
Are you going the overs on the Justin Jefferson receiving props, George?
Yes. I even want him at Offensive Player of the Year.
George.
I think the fact that he's double the price of like Bijan and like Chase is egregious.
Yep, I love George. I'm telling you, Pat, this is my bet. Minnesota over a half, and I got to sprinkle on winning the division. It's the play.
Well, the three of us all like Minnesota. It seems, and just Minnesota versus their number, but there's probably, the statistical odds would be that the plurality would say, George, that they're going to come last in this division. They could come last being 9-8.
So I actually will not bet their wins. What I want to bank on it when a team is like extra volatile, because it's the range of like defense can be elite. It could be 12th. It's Kyler in this offense could look really good, or this experiment could go really bad. I want to capture the volatility, the positive volatility. So I want to bet stuff like division for 5-1. I want to take some longer shots as opposed to like some of their alt wins, as opposed to just like taking their baseline -110, laying it for the full season. Let me ramp it up and like get some of the right tail outcomes.
See, this is where we recorded the Custies a few days ago, and one of Tim's claims, and I was on it too, about the Rams under last year. Because we both got freaked about that Matthew Stafford back injury right before week 1. It was like, oh God, if they lose Matt Stafford, like this could be the end of the world. But not that I think that the Rams are going under their number this year. I mean, they're obviously the betting favorites to win the Super Bowl. But I think that if you were to play their under, George, on the win totals, you play their like big alt unders. They just have 3.
Absolutely.
They have like 3 crippling injuries. They have no one to replace any of these guys. And all of a sudden they're just outright bad.
Pat, that's the way to play it, man. When there's some volatility, when there's a little bit wider range of outcomes, or in the Rams case where the market has like way overcorrected, where like nobody would think of betting their over or their Super Bowl price at like 5-1 or whatever it is right now. That's when you get aggressive. Bet their alt.
That's the problem with you guys. Can't you just be satisfied with 1 plate? Do you need 6? I used to be a buffet monster. Just take the fucking over and bet them to win the division. Who knows? Even with backups, they can. Who knows about this? I get it. There's volatility, but Can't we just bet the number? You guys are always going for more. Greedy.
I would say it's not as much greedy is knowing that I'm going to be wrong about a ton of this stuff.
Yes,
that if I'm betting coin flips and I end up more wrong than right throughout the course of the year, I'm going to end up down a little bit of money. Yeah, if I can be right on like one or two of these larger gaps, I don't need to be as right and actually win money.
No, you bring up good points. I'm just saying, I'm just taking the regular thing.
There's also the world where, like, we've seen the old quarterback just suddenly looks old out of nowhere. Happened to Rodgers. He comes off an MVP season, and then he's really old. Peyton Manning, that last year, his arm fell off. Drew Brees, Tom Brady. Stafford's 38. Are we absolutely sure there is not a cliff that we're not seeing right now? I'm not feeling confident backing a quarterback that old when so many of them were washed by that age. So there's part of that in me is like, maybe we're under accounting for Stafford taking a cliff dive.
Yeah. Like, what does this team look like if Ty Simpson is playing quarterback?
Exactly. Like that's
maybe he's good. I don't know.
I like Ty Simpson. A lot of people don't. I think the guy's fantastic. What if I'm in Alabama, you got better.
What if they traded Puka Nacua for Matthew Golden? Would that make them better or worse?
Oh, it's fucking insane. Get off this golden shit, bro. I buy silver, not gold. That's the mineral.
So for example, with the Rams, if you go under 9.5 wins, you get 3-1. I
think the 49ers win that division.
Well, we're already speaking the same language now.
See, there we go. He's just mocking me with Cutler and Golden, but everything else comes down to the Minnesota Vikings and the San Francisco 49ers.
So,
and I'm a Seahawks fan.
For example, the Vikings win total is 8.5. If you wanted to go 10.5, it's 3-1 to the over, George.
Yeah, absolutely. That I want to bank on some of that volatility. I will say, Pat, you know why people love your videos and why I do? They're going to see NFC North preview, and then the two most talked about players are Matthew Golden and Jay Cutler. People are going to say, what in the hell is going on with this show?
It's because I'm an idiot. George, we like to have fun. That's what it is. I like to do stupid things. So Pizzola and Pat can come up to me and say, your backup quarterback list sucks. And once in a while, I'll pick a good one. But a lot of the time, I don't know. I cheer for underdogs and whatever. It's not really an underdog. He's just be better. Be like you were in college. Catch balls and go nuts with track speed.
George, I like to say that the Pat Mayo experience is very much for some people, but most definitely not for everyone.
It's for a lot of people, though.
No, I love it. That's how when I'm like groggy in the morning and I've got to work through some data, Pat Mayo show.
You want people yelling?
I do. It wakes me up, just the calm talking and then an outburst from Cam. That's the recipe.
I'm still bird sitting, Pat. I might fucking adopt a little Stu. He's fantastic. Birds are great. All they do is they barely shit. All I do is give them feed and a little. I even give him spring water. He deserves it. These birds are very easy to maintain. And the best is I got the gourmet feed. It's $13.99. You buy the shit stuff at the store. It's $4.99. Birds are so economical. And when you put the sheet on him, he goes to bed at night. He chirps a little bit, me. We have conversations back and forth. Your picks suck. No, you suck, Stu. You suck, Big Stu. You suck, Little Stu. His name is Little Stu. And I'm telling you, this bird is fucking fantastic. He dunks basketballs. He moonwalks like Michael Jackson. And he fucking, they're awesome, man. He's so fast. You take him out of the cage. Wee. It's so, oh, man, I'm a big fan. I should have had a bird when I was younger. They're fucking great. See, you just chirped there. So thank you.
That will do it.
No problem, Stu.
The Pat Mayo experience for the NFC North. We will be returning with the AFC South very soon. If you've missed any of the other division previews, hit the show notes. Pizzola will be back. We have Thursdays starting next week. So Thursday, we have 3 educational strategy videos for betting. That's what we did when Rob came down to film in studio. So we're going to have how to properly bet on the NFL. Maybe not to win, but to ensure that you don't lose as much money during the season as maybe you think. How to spot good lines, where to find good lines, and how to actually bet. We're going to talk about how leveraging AI can really help your betting process and how to actually do that, going through step by step. And then we talked about prediction markets and how to incorporate that into your portfolio to just simply find better numbers in different markets out there. So those are the 3 big topics that we're going to be talking about each of the next 3 weeks. So please stay tuned for that. It's a bit of a different vibe as this show, but not that much because I was chirping Rob the entire time anyway. Anyway, smash a like, share the show around, sub to Mayo Media Network, and I will see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!